Hey, my brother.
Hey man, how you doing?
Doing all right.
Good. I gotta hook up one more thing. Hold on one second.
Okay. And I'm looking. I even put on a roll too.
Right on.
That looks so good, man.
All right.
Is that okay if I do that?
You say what?
I put on a roll too.
Yeah, hold on 1 minute. Let me get this other cord. All right, I already started our live YouTube live, and I have misplaced one little device I need. One little actually it's just a cord, so I can hear you better. But let me do it this way now. For now, I'm gonna put you over here. I know what to do. Yeah, let's do it this way. Okay, let me see if I can hear you okay right there. Go ahead and speak again.
Okay, how's that?
That sounds good. Excellent. All right.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna start you. I started our Facebook Live.
We're on Facebook Live.
We're gonna be Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Zoom, of course, and my telephone.
Okay. This is all right.
Yes, sir. All right. So, see, I like starting with music that either speaks to our love or our blackness. And this is a tune by Gary Taylor called "My Blackness." Have you heard this before?
You know what? I can hardly hear it. I can just hear your voice. I can hardly hear the music.
Okay. All right. Then. I'm not going to turn it up. In fact, I'm about to turn it down. Just a second.
Sounds good though. The beat sounds good.
Oh yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the brother's got some beautiful tunes on about blackness and beauty and love and all those kinds of things.
What's his name?
His name is Gary Taylor.
Gary Taylor. Okay. I gotta check him out.
Yes, sir. Okay, I want to make you bigger. There we go. All right, excellent. All right, I think we're all set, brothers and sisters. This is Soul Liberation Station. My name is James Anike, and we are live right now. We're live right now for this show this Monday, the 18th of July. Monday, 18th of July. We're live right now on Facebook. I want to give a couple more seconds for others to join us. We're live on YouTube. If you, oh man, I didn't put that link on my page. So I'm gonna try to put that link on my page while we're talking, so you won't miss that. If you want to join us on YouTube and Zoom, our speaker is with us on Zoom. Our guest liberator is with us on Zoom. You can also call in. The phone number is 317-798-4085. I only have one phone line. 317-798-4085. And at the appropriate time, we want to hear from you. I'm hoping that those of you who are in states where elections were held a couple of weeks ago that you did vote. I hope that you are keeping your eyes on what's happening around you, because this political system in this world is shifting in so many interesting ways so quickly. And if we're not careful, I mean, things would have shifted and changed, and we'll be sitting around wondering what happened. Whereas we really should be in the position where we determine how things happen. And more and more, I hope will move in that direction. And so today, I want to talk about we've been dealing with this theme of love, systematic agapism. And before I get to that, let me say, my plans for leaving the country have shifted. I'm going to do a live video probably Thursday morning after I meet with our exit team. I got an exit plan team, so I can do this thing right. But after we meet with the exit team on Wednesday, I'll be able to share more details. But right now, I've had to move my departure date from August 8th to August 29th, 3 weeks later. I already got the plane ticket. I told y'all I ain't playing. I got to pay. I even paid a couple of extra $100 to shift it to that date. So, and it is a one-way ticket, so I ain't planning on coming back anytime soon. So I wanted to let you know that, and I'll say more about that and the reasons for it on Thursday morning when I do a live YouTube or live Facebook rather, so that I can give you more details and especially how you can help in this time. I want to also remind those of you who live in Indianapolis that on the 30th of this month, 30th of July, we're having a final brunch and bon voyage, a brunch and bon voyage for myself or with me at the Jewel Event Center. That'll be at 11 a.m. It is free, and we will have vendors. I want to encourage you to come ready to support the vendors and to come and give a donation. And again, I'll say more about that on Thursday. So that's July 30th, 11 a.m. at the Jewel Event Center. Brunch is free. Did I tell y'all that? It's free. Brunch and bon voyage with Brother Enrique, and I'm hoping you'll join us. Mark that, put that on your calendar so we can come together and have a good goodbye send-off before I actually leave on August 29th, Monday, August 29th. All right, so we are live, as I said, and I still didn't put it on my Facebook page. I want to put the link on there. For those of you who want to join us on YouTube, you'll be able to do that. And thank you so much for being with us. We're about to get into this conversation. And today, I wanted to talk about those things that we put so much emphasis on and count as so important. Those ministries that we're engaged in, those movements that we're a part of, those organizations or whatever work it is you're engaged in. And I mean, that moves you. I mean, that moves you to the point that you're really giving your heart and your life to it. And I don't know if you're like that, but if you are, I'm wondering, can you love what you do more than the people who are around you? What's the balance? How do you find the balance in doing what it is you have to do, but also carrying on the work that you know is so important? I heard a pastor say just the other day, yesterday, that for him, and this is the elder pastor, I don't think he'll mind me saying his name, Pastor Gerald Trotter here in Indianapolis, profound brother, a mentor to me. But he said that it is God first, or maybe he said church first or ministry first. Then he said the family second, and everything else falls under that. And I've heard several people say that family first, and then church or ministry second. And I've heard ministers say that. And I'm wondering if you can say family first if you're also saying God first. I don't know if that makes sense in terms of the question that I'm asking. So I'm interested. And I've heard all of them, many of them say God first also. So to help us sort this out, I have my brother from another mother. My friend and classmate from United Theological Seminary. Both of us got our doctorate degrees there. And he is the executive director of the Center for Prophetic Activism. Executive director for the Center of Prophetic Activism. And I know that he's a deep brother and a prophetic brother, and he's been doing profound work both for the community, for our people, for Black people, and in the church. Thanks so much for being with us, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing well, my brother. I am so glad to be with you. Yes, and I'm jealous of you because you got your ticket. I'm going to be coming later to Africa as well. I'm going to Ghana in October, but I won't be staying as long as you. I know your ticket is one way.
Right.
I'll be coming back. Yeah. But you just make sure you make some room for me in Zimbabwe.
I say, no doubt, bro. We'll do that. Yes, sir. And so glad to have you with us. And I know that you've been in ministry for many years. I want to say about 20-something years. Is that about right?
You know what? I've never counted it, but okay. I'll tell you what. It was June 8th, 1996, when I stepped into St. Luke Community United Methodist Church in Dallas, Texas, and saw these powerful stained glass windows that spoke to me because they had all of these saints, and all of them were Black like you and me.
Right.
And I said, man, this is on point. So it's been that kind of time frame since I've been there, and it was at a wedding, and I heard Zan Holmes preach at that wedding. So then from that time, I say I've been in ministry. Prior to that, I grew up in the church, but never really got connected.
Mm-hmm.
And that was since 1996.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been a good, I guess, how many years is that?
You said 96? 27 years.
Yeah, it's almost 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, and in that time, and I know you, so I know I'm right when I say you are passionate about ministry. You're certainly passionate about Black people, and those things are important to me. And so the work that you're doing in terms of this ministry, a prophetic ministry that you're engaged in, describe that. What does that mean?
So when I talk about prophetic ministry, a lot of times when people hear prophetic, they run because they're hearing, this future telling of what's going to happen. That the earth is going to succumb to this, that, and other, and we all going to whatever. If you're not on the right side of God, you're going to go to hell. That type of thing, and that's not what we're talking about. Exactly. We're talking about speaking truth to action in love. And so to start off, when I think of activism, we talk about three different types of activism. One is pastoral activism, which pastors do when they reach out to people in their community directly and focus on doing programs to change the community, but ultimately trying to get people to join their church. And then there's also priestly activism, where we're focused on doing the rites, whether it's a funeral, whether it's whether it's a wedding, or whether it's just the worship on Sunday morning. Right. But when we talk about prophetic activism, we're talking about sharing the love of Jesus Christ directly in the community. And that concerns so much about the clericalism. That's so much concern about how many people I can get to church on Sunday, but really focused on making a transformative change in our society and our community more specifically.
And I know that a part of what you do is intentional about its impact on Black folk. Can you say something about that?
Yeah. So I started up after graduating from United Theological Seminary. I started with this whole idea of a center for prophetic activism. And with that center, we're really focusing on kind of the things I just mentioned a moment ago. But it's like, how do I say it? Really being this place where people in our communities can really be transformed. We can really understand what's going on with it. And that's something just for this particular moment in time, but beyond this time as well. So, that's kind of what we're focused on. I talk about activism. Right. And so activism is what we really are doing to address the issues that our communities are hurting from. We know the Black community is hurting from economics, the inequities in economics. We know the Black community is hurting from the inequities that we deal with in terms of, economics, mass incarceration, just a number of different things. Right. And so when I talk about this Center for Prophetic Activism, we consider ourselves a social justice enterprise that lives at the intersection of liberation theology and critical theories. Yeah. And then so with that, our mission is to empower activists and faith leaders working for justice in their community to transform lives through critical conscious formation, compassionate action, infrastructure building, and an advocacy/participatory worldview. And all of that has to be wrapped up in love.
Right. Excellent. And I see your passion in it. And I've been known to be passionate about what I'm doing too. And it reminds me of a joke. It's a kind of a long joke that I heard Kirby John Caldwell, pastor of Windsor Village in Houston, Windsor Village United Methodist Church. And he said there was a there was a conference of pastors that had gathered, and these three pastors that rode to this conference together, and they had a wonderful time at this conference, and they were on their way back late after the banquet at the event, and the driver had a little bit of something, before he got in the car and started driving. All of them had a little bit of taste of wine, but he felt like he was good to drive, and so he got in his car and drove, and lo and behold, at one point he fell asleep behind the wheel, or something happened, and they crashed. And these three pastors all died in this crash. And so they found themselves in this long line up in on the other side. And they were in this long line, and at the gate of this line was one of the angels, and the angel was sitting there, and he was screening the people before they would be given access into heaven. And so in him screening the people, he would ask them each questions, and by the time the first pastor got up there, he asked the pastor, said, "What's your social?" He said, "My social." He said, "What's your social security number?" And he gave him his social security number. He tapped it into the computer and looked at it and said, "Oh my goodness." So we got a problem here. It seems as if you loved money so much while you were living that you didn't love it. You loved it more than you loved God. And he said, in fact, I see here that you love money so much, you married a woman named Penny. And the man is like, "Well, what do we do about this? I mean, I've been preaching and I'm a good man, and yeah, but you did some things. We need to work this out. Go on down there to that room down the hallway there, real close. You see a room next to that with some fire in it. Go to the room before that one and just wait in there. We'll figure this thing out." And then the next pastor steps up and asked him what his social was. Gave him his social. He said, "Okay, seems like we got another problem." He said, "It seems as if you love food so much that you love food more than you love God." And man was distraught. "Well, I like food a lot, and I know I'm overweight and whatnot, but I mean, ain't there something we can do about this?" He said, "Well, not right now. We're gonna have to check you out a little bit closer. Go on down to that room I sent your friend to, and we'll see what we're gonna do about that." And so by the time the third preacher stepped up, he's crying and bawling, and I mean just and almost inconsolable. It's not coming out of his nose. And the one in line next to him said, "Why are you crying so hard?" He said, "Well, my first friend, he loved food so much. He loved money so much. He named his wife Penny. And the second friend, I didn't probably say this part. He loved food so much. He named his wife Candy. And he said, my wife's name is Fanny." Now I know I told the joke. It wasn't as smooth as Herbert John Caldwell told it. But anyway, can we be passionate about what we do? And is it real? Is it realistic? Is it right for us to put our missions, our ministries, our work before our families?
That's a powerful question. And so you and I have been through this process at United Theological Seminary,
right,
becoming doctors of ministry.
Yes.
And I think that in that process, it takes us to another level. We've got masters of divinity.
Right.
We know how to critically think.
Yes.
We already know, what the problems are and the issues are in wherever we go, and we got answers for how to address them.
Right.
But one of the things that you and I both did is that we did a spiritual autobiography.
That's true.
And we looked at what our spiritual walk was, how the things that in our lives impacted us, and then how did we get to where we are right now.
Right.
And in that, we have to take into account family. We have to take into account friends. We had to take into account enemies.
That's right.
We had to take into account a whole bunch of different things. And so now in that process, you and I are real about what it is that our gifts, our skills, all of that, what our spiritual gifts, what have you, are, and then as well, what our commitment is to our family and what have you.
Right.
And that comes first and foremost. You know, I can't love you unless I love me first.
Okay.
I can't love anybody else unless I'm taking care of the person that is inside this body,
yes,
the soul that is here. And so God has allowed for us to be able to understand ourselves a little better.
Yes.
So I think that's very important. We talk about the ministries. You know, I can tell you, you know, hey, you know, we got big plans for the Center for Prophetic Activism. I'm sure that you have big plans for Agape.
Yes.
But and Agape is that's beautiful anyway because it's love. You know, so that's what it's all about.
That's right.
But we got to love ourselves first and foremost.
Okay.
You know, we've got to understand that maybe I need to take some time off and do the things that I need to do for me.
Okay.
You know, I make it a point once a month that I am getting a massage.
All right.
I love me. You know, got to take care of me.
Right.
You know, got to take care of the home. I'm married, got a beautiful wife.
Yeah.
You know, and I've got to make sure that the things that I do will not only talk about love, but actually shows and displays love to her.
Absolutely.
And when I say that, I'm not just talking about, as Martin Luther King eloquently spoke about, he talked about his Eros love. And he was dating his wife, you know, the Eros love was so important, you know, to show that type of love. But he's talking about this agape love, you know, this unconditional,
right,
you know, that says, hey, you know, no matter what's going on outside my home, you know, I got to take care of what's inside the home first and foremost.
Absolutely.
You know, so when I talk about this love, and I've got this passion for ministry, but my passion for my wife is greater than my passion for this ministry.
All right.
My passion for this my own self, which when I look at myself, I say this is the gift that God has given to me. You know, I might not be an NBA player like I would have wanted to be one day.
All right.
You know, but I am who I am.
Yes.
And God has given me this gift, and I got to love me first and foremost. Because if I can't love me, I can't love anybody else.
That's right.
Can't show, you know, I think you show love, you display it, you know. And so again, first and foremost, to me, it's all about the love that you have for self, family, that you have for your friends, those who are close to you and around you. And then, you know, it shows up through your ministry.
Yes.
You know, I don't see it as necessarily, you know, one over the other. I do see that it is, you know, I think of the love that you have for yourself emanates from you in these other ways.
And so when you look at those who have made sacrifices, you mentioned Dr. Martin Luther King, and yes, let's use him as an example. Would you say that? And I know that he made statements of apologies to her and to his children about his lack of availability. Did he go too far in terms of putting the movement ahead of his family? Would you say he went too far? And let me say this too before you answer that question. I'm also inviting you, those of you who are with us on Facebook, please feel free to type in a comment or a question, and we'll certainly share that with those who are with us. If you're with us on YouTube, you can certainly also chat with us, and we'll try to share those questions and comments also, or you can call in. The phone number is 317-798-40. I think it's 58. Let me make sure I give you the right number. 798-4085. 4085. You can call in. Go right ahead and answer the question about Dr. King.
Yeah. So what I would say, But Dr. King, you asked me, did he go? You think that he went too far? An excellent question. So when I look at the life Dr. King lived, brilliant young man who, as a teenager, was in graduate school, working on his doctorate. He's a bad brother.
Right.
I think that it was necessary for him to do the things that he did at the level that he did to bring attention to the problems of that particular time. I think, unfortunately, it took a major toll on him and his family. His family, from the standpoint that not only did his children not get to spend the time that they would have been able to spend with him, or his wife being cheated on. He was, it's evident. I mean, it was definitely clear that Martin Luther King, had affairs, and so that's a major problem, because that eros love is that love between, it should be monogamous, if we are in terms of our Christian perspective, with that one particular person, but I think the other part of this, in terms of the going too far, Dr. King hurt himself. Here's a man who died at 39 years old, and I've forgotten how old they said that his heart was, when he died, because his heart, it was like he was an old man at that particular time.
I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Yeah, I've forgotten exactly what where that comes from, but I remember that his physical being was as that of a very old man. I do know, I have a good friend who's a researcher. His name is Paul Lee. And Paul Lee is an authority on King, Malcolm, Black Panthers, all of that. And Paul Lee has mentioned how, not only mentioned, he's shown me photos of Dr. King in that last year. And you can see this man who's just worn down, who's totally worried, who's got all these kind of death threats against his life. All of that is coming against him.
But you know what, that speaks to the other part of the question I asked about whether or not we should put our health, ourselves, put this movement, this ministry, these things that we do, should we take such risk with our health in light of, say, hey, this is the movement, I got to do it.
Yeah, I'll put it like this. I think that there has to be balance, man.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I know that where I'm at right now in terms of ministry is where I need to be. And a lot of it has to do with the doctoral program, from the spiritual autobiography, better understanding me and who it is that I am and what I need to be doing. I know prior to that, I was totally in pastoral ministry. That's not for me, and to the point that under one of those pastoral ministries, I had developed prostate cancer. I'm a survivor.
All right.
I've lived without prostate cancer for the last 8.5 years now.
Amen.
And so I'm blessed to have done that. But the reality is, it all takes a toll on you, whether it's ministry, whether it's movement work, it all takes a toll.
Yeah.
And so I think what you see now happening in what didn't happen in Dr. King's day, and didn't happen in Malcolm's day, and didn't happen during the days of the Black Panthers and whoever else, is you see a whole lot more focus on our mental health and our physical health, all of those things. Because I can't, again, it's part of being a loving me. If I can't love me, if I can't do what I do, then I'm going to be of no good to anybody else. One of the things that I practice right now, I just started doing, and you got to understand, since I was 10 years old, I've been doing martial arts. But I made a conscious effort now to start doing Tai Chi. And it's a slow, relaxed movement. it's meditative. It's all about focus on breathing, stretching, all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's extremely important that I take care of me for the years that I have coming ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want to be like Dr. King and die early on. And well, I'm not early on, both of us are in that good age,
That's
you know.
Right.
but you know, I still got some time to go, man.
Right,
you know, I still can do some things,
mm-hmm.
you know. And so I want to be able to use those in a smart way that shows love, and then my grandchildren will look at it and say, you know, Papa didn't die, you know, doing all this. Papa also spent time with me and did, you know, had a good time. We had family reunions and we had whatever else, all these different things. Now, another part of all of this is that it becomes difficult because, as you and I both know, we live in an extremely racist society.
Absolutely.
We live in a society that's developed upon systemic racism, systematic racism.
Right.
You know, that since 1619, you know, when they brought us here in this country, you know, that's been the major focus. And so our ministry work and our movement work, they are caught up under this problem of systematic racism.
Yes.
And we got to love ourselves as well enough that we got to address those issues, you know. But you know, like one of the things that Bob Marley once said in one of his songs, he said, "He that fights and runs away shall live to fight another day." You know, I think that's wisdom.
Okay.
You know, you know, you know that you got a battle that you go up against the enemies that we deal with and movement and ministry, and then you realize that, hey, this opponent is formidable. Is one in which I've got to retreat, and it's okay to retreat.
Right.
Jesus retreated all the time. You know,
you're right. You're
Jesus
right.
said, "Huh?"
I said you're right.
Yeah, Jesus said, let me check out for a minute, you know, and then I'll get back to you. Right. And we got to be able to do that, you know, for our own mental health. We got to do that for our own physical health, you know, especially living in this country when you are African American, you've grown up and lived in the systemic racism for 400 plus years, and a great Reverend Dr. James Anike once told me, you know, these folks ain't gonna ever change.
Oh no.
You know, and I agree with that. You know, and so now how do we learn to live under this? Right. You know, or how do we move on beyond this? You know, I think that when I see my brother headed to Zimbabwe, I think it's showing love for himself. That's it. You know, when I say, okay, you know, I've got a doctoral cohort and I've got a whole bunch of folks that are going on a pilgrimage to Ghana. You know, that's showing love. Yeah. You know, because I want to get home and I want to experience that in my life. You know, something that's different, something that's going to be refreshing to me. Yeah. You know, let me shut up and you go ask some questions.
All right.
I talk too much.
I like what you're saying though. 38 minutes after the hour. My name is James Anike. I'm the host of this show, this is Soul Liberation Station. The purpose of Soul Liberation Station is to heal, empower, and inform the Black community now worldwide. We want to inform the community worldwide. And here's an announcement I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show. We are in the process of signing a contract and coming along in partnership with an entity that's based here in Indianapolis that I guess for lack of a better term, fans out these kinds of shows, radio shows and internet shows to radio stations around the country. And so we're going to be campaigning so that this show will be on those radio stations that this network is connected to, and I'll share more information with that. Also on Thursday when I do the live, I'm going to do a Facebook Live on Thursday morning to share more information about the plans for my my move to the continent of Africa. But again, my name is James Anike. Our guest liberator is Dr. Anthony Everest. He is the executive director of the Center for Prophetic Activism, and he is based. You're based in Nashville? No, you're based in
Lexington, Kentucky.
Lexington, Kentucky. Right on. And we want to hear from you. The phone number is 317-798-4085. 317-798-4085. I want to make sure I didn't miss any comments that many of you have. You can leave a comment right there on Facebook, and we'll be sure to share those comments. Or if you'd like to join us on YouTube and chat with us, we'll try to engage and chat with you. We want to hear from you. And again, we got about 20 minutes left in the show, and we're talking about how to balance your activities in movement, ministry, to live out your call, to be a part of the work that you're doing to the degree that it is not taking you away from your family. I thought the conversation we had about Martin Luther King was really interesting, but let me expand it this way, because you don't always have to be be a pastor or some leader of an organization to give all your efforts and energies to a work. Some people work hard on their cars. Some people are serious about sports and they're watching every game that comes on. Some people are serious about their jobs, right? And they may be, not to simplify it, but they may be a cog in the wheel at some factory, but they take what they do so serious that their wives, their children feel like, hey, we don't ever see you. And so how do you handle it? Or maybe you feel like, hey, this is what I got to do to feed my family. Some people are in the military, and they re-enlist over and over again, and they are away from their families long periods of time. So I want to know how you balance that, but not just that. I want to hear from you, those of you who are family members who are impacted by loved ones who are so engaged in movement and work and ministry and movement that you just don't see them. Text a message, chat a message, call us up 317-798-4085. We want to hear from you. And so let me turn to that point. And I know both of us as pastors have seen instances where people put themselves, their energy so much into their work that, even ministry is neglected. So, speak to that.
Yeah. Again, going back to this ideal of balance, we got to have balance in our lives. I can't run 24/7, 366, 365, what have you.
Right.
I've got to take some time off, and focus on the things that are going to refresh me, rejuvenate me. I think Jesus Christ gives the model, but even, when we go back to the book of Genesis, the model is there with God. Yeah. Take the Sabbath, keep the Sabbath holy, and that's that. Sometimes we refuse to do that. Sometimes we keep going, and we can't run like that, So, it just makes so much sense that if I am going to do whatever work it is that I need to do, I need to count the cost of doing that work. I need to go ahead and say, okay, in terms of time, it's going to take me X, Y, Z amount of time to do this. So say it took 80 hours to do something, and I could go straight 80 hours, or I could go, for several weeks,
right.
And doing 4 hours a week, or 4 hours a day, or whatever, It's all in how we count the costs and we plan things out in our lives, Right. I'm a big advocate for planning, if you don't plan, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You plan to fail.
Right.
Is old adage. So if you plan things out, then you'll find that it's going to be better. It might not be that you're able to do all the things that you want to do within the time frame that you want to do it, but you just live a healthier, loving life,
right,
that will allow for you to be there for others and others to be there for you as well. Because I think that our family members, they look at us as well and see the example that we give, our children.
Right.
And particularly, if you don't have time for the children when you are young, what kind of time will they have for you when you are older?
Oh, good point.
Yeah, I look at my mother is here with me today. She is 85 years old, and there was a moment where she had to have some surgery, and she needed rest and recovery. Okay. And I just said, hey, you know what? Ministry, I'll catch you later. I got to be with this woman who raised me, this woman who fed me, this woman who bathed me, this woman who took care of me as a child. This woman who did whatever it is to make sure I had the best of whatever I could get, even though we were poor. She spent whatever she had to do for me, and so now, I had to spend the time with her, and I recognize my children are watching that as well. My children do the same thing for her, so, we set a role, we set a model in terms of how we live our lives, how we love ourselves, how we are present with those of us that we love.
Yeah. I was just thinking too, two things. One, knowing when to pull back, of course, but also knowing when to involve others to help carry the load. And that really leads to two kinds of questions. How do you know who to trust to carry the load that you're bearing? How do you know what are the types of people we reach out to? And then the other thing should be, especially those of us who have gotten older, and I've said this several times, that if you've reached 50 and you're not mentoring somebody to take your role after you, then you have failed. Yeah. So the question then is, how do we know who to choose to work with us or carry some of the weight so that we can live and we can be responsible in other ways to our families and ourselves? And how do we honor our responsibility as we get older to mentor others to take over completely so that we're not doing it at all?
Yeah. I think you and as you mentioned, getting older, you learn to discern. Yeah. You learn to discern who those people are. If somebody's been doing something that's not good for themselves and they've been doing this for a long time, maybe that's not the person that you want to get engaged with this ministry or this movement work that you're doing. Maybe you realize that person needs some help themselves. Right. And maybe that's somebody you can mentor as well. Right. But it's not somebody you necessarily just say, oh, I'm going to give over the reins to you. You look and see, are people serious about what it is that they are doing? Right. How serious are they about what they're doing? And can they, with the gifts and skills that they have, can they add to the success of what it is that we're trying to do without hurting themselves or hurting others? Okay. And so I liken it to we always, whenever you're in the church, you're looking for volunteers to do all kinds of stuff. But you recognize that not everybody can be up in front of the children. Right. They might even love being in front of children, but children might not love them. That's right. So, it's all about assessing oneself and understanding these are the gifts that I have. Right. This is what I like to do. And, let me work within the strengths that I have. And there might be some other areas that I might want to develop, but let that not be an experiment on other people. Let me move forward first with the gifts and the strengths that I have. And develop that other piece so that eventually maybe it becomes a strength as well. Right. And, or I learned that it is not a strength I have. I'll give you a classic example, man. I started school years ago. I went to Howard University for electrical engineering. Okay. I went there because my uncle was an electrical engineer. He had a nice house. He had a nice car.
Mm-hmm.
He had a nice looking girlfriend that he eventually married.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted those kind of things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I saw all of that.
Right.
But I had no understanding then
Mm-hmm.
that you have to have an aptitude of being an engineer to do engineering, you know? So now I'm a minister. You know, I'm executive director of a nonprofit. You don't want me wiring nothing for you. You know? So, you know, but that is understanding oneself. It's maturity.
Yeah.
It really is. You know, when you're younger, you think you can do everything. Yeah, you want to do everything. Even with this ministry.
Right.
You know that one day you saw somebody that was up there preaching, said, oh man, I could do that. And I like that, man. Right. And then you get up there and you realize, oh, this is no easy work. No. You know, you got to study the word and you got to, you know, you got to strengthen you. And then you get to the point you say, man, I'm not that good at this at all. But then you, over time, you develop that, you know? And so, yeah, it's about really loving yourself enough to be real with yourself and say, you know, I'm not good at this, you know? So let me focus in on the things that I do have strengths and that I can do well.
It is 50 minutes after the hour. Our guest liberator is Dr. Anthony Everett. He is the executive director of the Center for Prophetic Activism. And we're talking about work. We're talking about movement, ministry, giving yourself to it, finding balance. You know, and what about those who don't find the balance and they, you know, are working and sacrificing their families, sacrificing their relationships, but not really, and you know, and maybe they have some great success in what it is they do, but maybe not. And that leads to another question: what if, after you have given yourself to a movement, to a work, to a ministry, to a call, and you realize I am failing? This thing, or the movement fails itself, whatever it is, it fails. The church fails, whatever it is, or the ministry. You're a part of a ministry, and you're looking out, and every Sunday, fewer and fewer people are there. And I mean, what do you do when you see all that you've given your heart to is not succeeding?
Well, you have to look at what the failure is and learn from the failure. And you have to be, you have to have enough courage to be real about it. You know, if ministry is failing, why is it failing?
Right.
You know, is this what I need to be doing? You know, assessing oneself to say, maybe it's not, and maybe there's something else that God has for me. There's work for everybody to do.
Absolutely.
And I think the worst thing that happens is when we actually spend our lives doing things that are, how do I say it? Things that are that look good, sound good. We think it's working or what have you, and realize it doesn't work out right. You know, doing things that are the right things to do, but not necessarily the right things.
I understand.
You know, and so yeah, I mean, I could only imagine had I become an electrical engineer. I've been the worst electrical engineer there ever was, you know. You know, and but I found my calling. And I know what it is that I'm to be doing. And I think people have to spend the time to really find out what that is. Not just to, you know, say, oh, well, you know, I like this, so I'm going to try this and do this, what have you, you know, because I did go on still in the corporate world doing computer programming. I was good at it, you know, but over time, you know, it was something that it was just a means to make money. It wasn't something that I loved, you know, And so you got to understand that as well.
But that leads to another question. Should whatever we do be passionate for? So should we find passion in whatever we do? Should our work be one of passion? And if it's not, does that mean I should quit my job and go find my passion?
No, I think it's a planned it's a planned effort.
Okay.
To find that passion and to move or pivot from what you've been doing before to move to that passion. I'm living out my passion right now.
Yeah.
Again, it's not in the pulpit. My passion is activism, organizing, doing that type of work from a prophetic stance, as opposed to preaching every Sunday. And I love preaching, but the way that this happens for me is that I will preach, but I don't have to deal with, the rest of the week at the church, and some people are better pastors than preachers on Sunday morning. No, I don't think that you ever should just say, okay, let me just go quit my job, because God, people have the mythical belief, well, God will just provide for me, and, the reality is, the wise person does not search after another bird when you got one in hand.
Oh, right now.
You stick with the one that you got until you get to the place where you can get to where you want to be. You do what you got to do until you do what you want to do.
Let me say this, and I like that line. I think that was in the Great Debate.
Yeah.
And somebody might look at me and say, "Well, man, Ndike, you guilty of what he just said," because I left a well-established position in ministry. If I were not to change course, I wouldn't have any problem being in ministry under appointment, with insurance, with a salary, all the little bells and whistles for the rest of my life. But instead, I jump off that train into a situation where I don't have a salary. I got to pay my own, pension and all these kinds of things along the way. And I'm taking on and moving to another country where I know a few people, but not a lot. And I'm, going to continue to publish books, which I do well, but also to engage in this new entity, Agape United Institute, which has not had a track record, which just started, and that's got to work. So I mean, that somebody might look at me and say, "Man, you shouldn't have left that bird that you already had in your hand for something else." But I'll say this: I used to hang with an elder named Reverend Calvin Word. Reverend Word went on to be with the Most High, joined the Ancestors. I want to say about 4 or 5 years ago. We used to hang out all the time. And Reverend Word used to say something that I thought was so interesting. He said, some preachers were sent and some just went.
I know that one.
Yes,
yeah.
Sir. Yes, sir. And so for me, the reason why I have no doubt, I mean, literally no doubt, is two things. One, because this is not the first time I have shifted gears, in work, if you will. But the main reason why I feel so confident and comfortable in what I'm doing is because I know God has guided me. And God has already given me the clear vision of how it's going to work out. And I think and that many others who are with us know that I've been living a 10-year plan. I'm in the 6th year of my 10-year plan, and moving to the continent was a part of that. Everything that was listed in that 10-year plan 6 years ago has come to be. And some of it, some things more than I anticipated, have come to be. And so I'm thankful for that. And I'm glad that I can say with confidence that what I'm about to do now, I feel a passion and a call for, and I know God is with me. I know God has guided me. And check this out, I know who I am. And I couldn't say that a few years ago. And I think there's a convergence there of knowing who you are and doing what you do.
Yeah. So one of the things that's important all of what you said was important, but stands out to me again goes back to the plan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, you're right. I've seen your plan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so and not everybody knows your plan.
Right.
It's not necessary for everybody to know your plan.
That's true too.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so they're gonna look at you sometimes. Is he cuckoo? He's going to just get up and leave. You know.
Right.
And you know, you and I have talked enough that you know my thoughts are in the same vein. You know, about going to Ghana.
Yeah.
You know, and people ask me all the time, what does your wife think about this? Well, my wife and I have already discussed all of that. You know, so she's ready. You know, if we could do it tomorrow, then you know we would, you know, make the move or what have you.
Yeah.
But the fact is, we got a plan. You know, and that's extremely important. And guess what? I'm planning with my wife.
All right.
You know, because that's love.
Yes. Yes.
You know, that if I said, okay, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. Oh, honey, we're gonna move. You know, that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
You know, that's suicide.
That's right.
You know, because I might be moving by myself.
Yes, sir.
You know, and I won't be getting no Eros love or no agape love. You know, so, you know.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you so much for sharing this time, brother. Time went so quick, and yeah, you really helped to bring home this whole subject, and I know that there will be many who will be informed, and uplifted, blessed by what we've shared, because this is going to be on Facebook Live forever, and it's going to be on YouTube forever, and so people can always go back and share it. I want to encourage you to like it, to share it, to love it, whatever you got to do, so that other people get in on this conversation. This has been an awesome conversation, and I'm so glad we had Dr. Anthony Everett with us today, our guest liberator, and we're going to keep this liberation movement going. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And doing what we're supposed to do. You got any final comments? You want to give a website or a way somebody want to get in touch with you? Because the other thing you need to know about this brother is he's a profound speaker, preacher, and he has a really powerful message about activism, about Afrocentrism, about racism and institutional racism and so many other things. So if somebody wants to have you come to speak, well, how can they make that happen?
Sure. So they can go to Dr. Anthony Everett. That's Dr. and then Anthony ANTHONY and then Everett EVERETT.com. And all of my information is right there. You can contact me if you want to know more information about me. It's all there. Those who are seeing this on YouTube or via Zoom or what have you can scan the QR code.
Right.
And that QR code gives you all the information about me as well and how to get in contact with me. And I just want to say, brother, I thank you for the opportunity to do this, man. You know, just appreciate you and the love that you always show to a brother, and let you know that I am praying for you as you journey to Zimbabwe. You know, that, you know, not only do you do the things that you are doing, but you expand that even greater, you know, when you get home.
Thank you for saying so. Keep me in your prayers, and I'll be praying for you, and we'll keep this revolution going, bro.
Absolutely. Haluta continua. The struggle continues.
Struggle continues. Peace, brothers and sisters. Thanks so much for being with us again. I want to encourage you to share this information with others, so that we can keep this movement going in the way that it should go. And we know that you need to be a part of it. We want you to be a part of it. You can contact me. My phone number is 317-529-3768. That's 317-529-3768. If you want to support Soul Liberation Station, if you want more information about what we're about to do, expanding to other radio stations around the country, and how we're going to do what we do live. We're going to continue the show even when we get to Zimbabwe. This show will continue at this time there. We want to bridge the gap between the continent and the diaspora. That's what we're trying to do in so many different ways. And again, we could use your support. So if you want to support, hey, my Cash App is $James Anyike. The J in Anyike, I'm sorry, the J in James and the A in Anyike are capitalized. $James Anyike. If you want to Cash App a little support our way, because we're going to need your help so that we can pull together and rise together. Peace, brothers and sisters. We'll be back next week. Thanks, my brother. All right. I'm sorry.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you, man.
Likewise. I'm gonna turn this off.
Yes, sir. All right. I'll talk with you later, man.
All right, man.
Okay.
Peace and blessings.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.